fermenter's been in the fermenting chamber for 2 weeks. I just pulled it out yesterday so it could settle. So now it's time to prep the kegs. What I'm going to do is I hook the keg up to the regulator, set it for 5 pounds per square inch, and I'm going to purge oxygen out of the keg and fill it with CO2. You don't want oxygen mixing with your beer. So I just let it run until it stops. And when the sound stops, I know it's pressurized. I set it to 5 pounds. Once I hear the noise stop, I close the valve, then go over to the keg. And since CO2 is heavier than oxygen, it sinks to the bottom. Therefore, the oxygen is at the top, and I just pull this pressure release valve to let the oxygen out of the top of the keg. And I do this about 3 times just to make sure all the oxygen is purged out of the keg. Alright, the next step is to sanitize the spigot and the hose and put it inside the keg. And as you can see, it's really cloudy in there. That's the CO2 haze inside the keg. It's really foggy from the CO2. And just let it drain into the keg. After the transfer is complete, I put the lid on, hook the gas line back up, still set to 5 pounds, and purge it 3 more times just to get any remaining air out of the head space at the top of the container. Just make sure there's only CO2 inside. Okay, so now it's time to carbonate. So I turn the regular up to 12 pounds and put the keg in the kegerator, set it to 36 degrees and let it sit for about 2 weeks or less. Less if you shake the keg around and force carbonate the liquid. Otherwise, if it just sits there, it's going to take about 2 weeks.